everybody, welcome back to World History. This is going to be our final section of notes for Chapter 18. So, go ahead and get your notes out, and let's get started with this Age of Napoleon. And no, it's not that Napoleon. It is not Napoleon Dynamite. It is Napoleon Bonaparte. All right, so Napoleon's rise to power. Let me move my bubble, because my bubble is once again in the way. Come along. Apparently it's just being a pain in the butt. There we go. Oop, one click too many. So, Napoleon's rise to power. Napoleon Bonaparte was a popular military hero. We kind of introduced him last time. He was a general to political leader, and he became the emperor of the French. One of the big things to understand here is when he took control of the Directory, he did so democratically by having people vote in what is known as a plebiscite, or a popular vote by ballot. This is also known as democratic despotism, where people support you with the votes, but you also then maintain absolute power. So again, Napoleon's taking absolute power and essentially is declaring himself Emperor of France. Now, he's going to rise to power in the midst of near chaos, and there's going to be a lot of successes for him on the battlefield. He's also going to establish strong governmental control and foster a greater sense of French nationalism, both of which are really big things to talk about France moving from the period of the Revolution into the 19th and even into the 20th centuries. Napoleon's going to reform France, and the big thing you need to remember here is that his motto was order, security, and efficiency. He worked to control prices, establish new industries, build roads and canals, provide religious freedom for Catholics in the region as well. Peasants were given a right to land, and he actually established something known as a meritocracy, in which jobs were based on talent. You were being given the job that you were given because you had the skills to complete that job, not just because you were buddy-buddy with the emperor. Now, one of the big things he's going to do is the Napoleonic Code. Now, this reforms the French legal system. This establishes equality of all citizens before the law, and there's a lot of toleration of various things. It's also against feudalism, and I know we've talked about it a couple times, but as a reminder, feudalism is this medieval economic system in which the majority of the population are subservient or serfs or peasants to the lords and the upper classes. The fact that we're still talking about this, and we're into the 1800s at this point, is pretty shocking, and Napoleon really wanted it to be gone. He also wanted to see order and authority over the individual. He saw what had led to the French Revolution, and it was like, I don't want that to ever happen again. So that's why he did the things that he did. So Napoleon's going to build an empire. There's going to be a lot of great risk and huge losses. He's going to annex more territory, and annex refers to a place being incorporated into an empire. So if, as an example, if Carthage was an empire and then we annex a villa or Jasper, we're incorporating them into Carthage. He's also going to utilize something known as forceful diplomacy, basically forcing people to deal with their diplomats. He's going to even attack the British at the Battle of Trafalgar, where the British Navy is going to have a massive success. As we go into the rest of this section, just know Napoleon's going to try to invade almost every major European power. Britain's the only one that he is not going to be able to invade. So, as a result of the Battle of Trafalgar failing for France, Napoleon's going to establish the continental system, economic warfare, where we're going to see blockades against the French and the British. This is going to lead to war in 1812, and it supported revolutionary ideas. Now, some challenges. Just so you guys know, well, actually, I'm going to fix that real quick just because that is bugging me. There we go. So, nationalism is going to work against France. A lot of these places that Napoleon was trying to invade, their own sense of nationalism worked to unify them against the French. And then, of course, we have the disastrous Russian invasion that did not go well in the slightest, mainly because they're going to get caught in Russia in the dead of winter, which is one surefire way to get killed. Now, a little bit more on the Russian side of things. Napoleon's disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812 was a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. The Tsar had originally supported Napoleon, but then withdrew from that continental system, so that economic blockade against the British. And Napoleon saw this as kind of a jerk move, and so he attacked. And the Russian armies are going to retreat. And as they do that, they're going to embrace a policy known as scorched earth, where they're going to burn crops and villages, basically like destroy anything that was of value, making it impossible for Napoleon's army to survive on what they had left. Now, by the time they left and got into Russia, it was like mid-October, and Russian winters are pretty brutal. Napoleon's going to retreat. Majority of his army is going to die on the retreat back to France because of the conditions. They're going to get frostbite. They're going to freeze to death. Russia, Britain, Prussia, and Austria at this point are going to form an alliance versus France for the sole purpose of Napoleon's got to go. Eventually, Napoleon's going to fall from power, and he's going to abdicate or step down from the throne and be exiled to the island of St. Helena. And Louis XVIII, who managed to escape the French Revolution, is going to be put on the throne. But Napoleon's going to escape and return for 100 days, reclaiming power. And there's going to be a major battle at Waterloo, where the Duke of Wellington is going to stop him, along with the Allied forces assembled. Napoleon's going to be forced to abdicate for good, and then he is permanently exiled to the island of Elba, if I remember correctly, where he dies of stomach cancer. So, Napoleon's legacy. Let's get the whoop. So, let's move that down over here a bit so you can see that better. So, Napoleon's legacy, or essentially revolution on horseback, or traitor to the revolution, resulted in a centralized state for France, this new constitution, elections that expanded suffrage to the people, more rights to property, education, stronger nationalism. And in 1803, Napoleon's the one that sold the United States the Louisiana Purchase. Napoleon's responsible for a major chunk of the country, including here in Missouri, where we are today. All right. I think this is our last slide, I think. To wrap up, we got to talk about the Congress of Vienna, who was formed for the purpose of restoring stability and order in Europe, essentially preserving the peace and the balance of power, and restoring these hereditary monarchies that had been overthrown in these revolutions by utilizing a practice of legitimacy, so these hereditary monarchies taking power again. It's also going to redraw the map of Europe, and I'd like to point out at this point, the French and everything else we're going to talk about are going to be nowhere near as strong as they were during the French Revolution. Yep, this is our last slide. So, regular world history, you do not have an assignment today. Honors world history, you're doing the French Revolution journals that is posted on Classroom. Both classes need to study for their test because their test over the French Revolution will be next class period. I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.